it's a red flag.
Where do we start with this? So Eboni K. Williams is a activist turned podcaster. I don't know what her activist record is. She's a lawyer.
Oh, okay. Yo, yeah, she definitely gives lawyer vibes.
She definitely gave lawyer vibes, and she seems to be. She like from what my wife is a huge anti-fan. My wife loves to hate people in their podcasts. And so my wife was like,
world-class hater. Nice.
Yeah, she's always been on kind of like a fuzzying the line of respectability politics type of vibe, which is how she probably
straight over that bitch. And
she did. And this is how she probably ended up talking to Ayanna Van Zant, who was like part of that Oprah crew of old school, old head, men and providers, women be submissive.
Is that what her vibe is? Because I've seen like her DMX content and stuff like that, and it seemed pretty like.
Well, so she's still progressive in a lot of ways in terms of like wellness, but she still defaults to when it comes to gender, she defaults to really classical ideals of gender.
Okay, got you.
And so Ayanna said, this is like pure, gender wars, just it's all the key words.
Kevin Samuels was right. No,
Thanksgiving turkey off this bitch.
Perfect.
Yeah. Everybody.
Ayanna said that black women act like men in skirts, which is just like so many problems with that comment.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yo, that's damn.
Ayanna Samuels, that's wild.
Right. So she went 10 toes down into that joint right there. And then Eboni, I guess, called herself trying to stand up for black women, right? And invited Ayanna on her show. And in their conversation, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but Ayanna asked Eboni, would she date a bus driver? And Ebony's response was, does he own the bus?
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if he owns the bus? If he owns it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Right. So I want to start there because up until this point, I don't have really a lot of problems with Eboni K. Williams.
I don't know shit about her except from before that clip, so I have zero context.
Yeah. Like I feel like
still got hot takes though.
We got hot takes, and we're gonna give me grace as we balance all of this out because there's a lot to unpack here. We will get to the misogyny.
He pre-qualifying our bullshit right now.
For anyone, right?
Give us a lot of grace now.
Yeah, before these niggas, right. I've only been on the pod 2 times. Like I can't vouch for these guys.
We're gonna bullshit for a second. We will get to the misogyny because there is like some misogyny nonsense involved here. Before we get there, like I do find it odd how we police the idea that black women would be like, I want a man that has X things that a lot of niggas don't have, because that's how my preferences were. I think that's how, like most people's their preferences, and preferences do have a tendency to lean into nonsense, but most people can definitely get into a space where it's like, no, I just like this thing. Let me like this thing. And Kim Foster, who was on Fort Harriet, she did a whole video kind of explaining something that I've personally seen, which is the reality is that when you have a large population of educated black women who do not have an equal population of educated black men to date and marry and build families with, you find, and this is a true fact out there, black women are more likely than anybody by like a wide margin to marry people outside. Well, people say marry down. We're not gonna do that. She did
a Black Women Don't Marry Down video, right?
Yeah, she did that video, in fact.
Okay.
And like we're not gonna say marry down. We're gonna say marry outside of their economic
it's like her like framing was that it's said that black women do this, but that's the wrong framing. I recall from
the Black Manosphere niggas like to say that black women don't want black men. They don't want to be submissive. They want every man to be a corporate thug with a 10-inch penis and like a 5,000.
I'll let your boy.
And a 5,000 word vocabulary, a 5 million word vocabulary at 5 degrees.
I got 2 out of 3. Guess which?
So that's not. He said, Josh like, nah, just one. That's just not true, right? That's not true. The reality is black women, if they're dating black men and they're educated, there's a strong chance that the man they're with is not educated and not in their same economic bracket or earning potential, depending on situation. This is obviously not, universal, but this is more typical. And
no,
so
there's a pattern.
There's a pattern. And that's because, if we get to the other side of the equation, black men are so they're a focal point of white supremacist violence and structural violence. So it's just less niggas to get to that spot, just period. You got more niggas that they fall off in middle school, they fall off in high school, they might even fall off after college. They won't not get to that spot where they can say, I'm gonna meet this black woman exactly where she's at. It's just the resources aren't there for all of us, which is why I know some niggas that get their degrees and they act the donkey because they know they got the pick of the they have their choice.
AB was talking about it. He was like, hey, look, baby, if you want a black man with multiple degrees, it ain't but too many of them. So you kind of got to come on home. And that's you're trying to divest this. Yeah,
you're right. And that's where the divestment movie comes from, and just all kinds of shit.
So, I'm sorry.
No. So go ahead.
I was just about to say, I think her initial reaction to the does he own the bus, that whole initial reaction, I guess maybe when she doubled down and whatnot, but still was somewhat taken out of context, because when she was asked a personal question, would you date somebody like this? It's not she wasn't talking about all black people or all black women, because somebody in the chat, I think it was Tatiana, said that black women do date bus drivers. These niggas is married. Bus drivers have great benefits. Apparently, you didn't notice.
Yes. Sanitation workers. Yeah.
And I just don't care for the ecosystem of the conversation in terms of they talking about canceling this woman. Oh my God, Eboni K. Williams has been canceled. She's gonna have a tough time coming back from this one. It's you niggas is hurt. So many people were hurt and in their feelings because they not in her tax bracket. And he was saying, when black women progress in life, they have degrees, they're lawyers, they have a lot of disposable income. A lot of guys can't keep up with that, and that makes us feel insecure because we gotta have this thing in us where we should be a provider, and that is instilled in us upon women. That shit don't just come
in part. But yes,
it's the
I didn't mean to put that all on women, but absolutely.
No, but you're right too. It's men and women both uphold that.
Men and women both uphold that, but our fear is from women. I haven't heard too many niggas be like, nigga, you ain't a provider. Niggas don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Niggas will hold other niggas up.
I feel the alpha male element is pseudo that. Because what's also very weird in this situation is that so many of the I feel she's getting it from two sides, right? She's getting it from progressive people who are this is classist, elitist, whatever, but also it's just niggas in the cut who are waiting for a black woman to say anything about some standards, and they were like, oh wait, woke niggas kind of agree with us too. Let's workers' rights.
It so fucking
and they
hard.
never have had any opinions about this shit up until now, because Kevin Samuels was saying the exact same shit. All of Kevin Samuels' rhetoric is so much about how if you don't earn as a man, you are not qualified for love. That's what he was saying.
And now when she says all of a sudden, the high value shit.
The high value bullshit.
Yeah,
that's how
he tried to to be real, after sitting and watching a lot of Kevin Samuels shit, that's the really hilarious thing about the way this legion of men move. It's literally, it's okay. How that song go? It's a problem when I do it. It's okay when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
Right. Kevin Samuels has had this exact same take a million times, and worse.
Because she's not a bus driver either. She's a high-powered, famous ex-lawyer and activist. So, if that's not high value, according to that rhetoric, then what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Why would you expect to be able to act to be able to attract a woman in that space? It's entitlement, and it's like you said, let's leave with empathy. I think Josh said really good. It's a lot of insecurity. It's a lot of brothers that have maybe saw Eboni K. Williams and been rejected by Eboni K. Williams and have been reminded, black men are regularly reminded of how limited our humanity and value actually is outside of certain roles. And so some dudes really lack resilience and or they find a level of intense comfort in this online misogyny game. You know what I'm saying? And like, so they're looking for, they're every time a Jada Pinkett, a Ebony Williams, a black therapist, you know, every time a black woman does something semi-questionable, we need to critique and discourse this black woman's behavior. As soon as there's an opportunity for that, they're jumping on the far end of the take. Like, what really need is submissive, you know, black women is like, it's the worst possible interpretation of the situation, which makes it hard to critique the next part of what happens in her story.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, like, I understand we're going heavy on defense of Eboni K. Williams and like condemning of the misogyny that is coming from the Kevin Samuels sort of like acolytes, but I want to make clear my stance. I think that she was tripping low-key from the first part, but like at a minimum level, but all of her follow-ups made it completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
So because even in the first one, because I understand what you're saying, Josh, but like even her tone of like, would you date a bus driver? It wasn't like, well, look, I'm a high-powered earner. My preference would be this. This is what I'm going for. She was like, if he owns the bus. There was a snarkiness to it that was very looking down on the working class. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. If you're a rich bitch, by all means, get you a rich nigga. I understand. Right. But
there's a
don't shit on middle class men.
Well, go ahead, Josh.
I was just gonna say, like, I get that, like, because I didn't, the tone of it didn't sit right with me either. But just as someone whose tone when I talk, especially like, you know, on the mic and shit, my tone is misunderstood from how I actually feel about something, like, because she just has a strong ass personality.
Right,
you know what I mean.
I do think there's something to say about the fact that we have normalized for generations now talking bad about broke niggas with like impunity. And we do need to critique that. That is a discourse that has to happen, and it's starting to happen more. Like that, it's just not like, I get why that's happened. It's not okay. We have to become the same like trepidation that we're developing, talking about gender and talking about misogyny and talking about, you know, other elements of intersecting identities. We do have to develop a framework to say, maybe we shouldn't, like, it's funny, and this is a shout out to my boy BP, and we've had this argument. I've had this argument with BP, who's a abolitionist that spent some time inside and has a lot of heat for academic spaces. One thing he said that always resonated with me is that, like, bougie black folks will use the pain and power from like the black underclass to push forward agendas and create political movements and clothing lines and all these things, but like get in the face of like underclass niggas and be like, yeah, I don't really fuck with y'all like that. Y'all are dangerous, y'all are dumb, y'all are whatever, y'all ain't really worth nothing. And it's a problematic, you know, dynamic that, you know, you have to be engaged with defending black men, even the ones you don't want to date. You know, so even the ones that are not an idealized thing. Yeah, you know?
It's okay to not want to date people, but you have to be willing to, because it even seem like there's maybe like a hustle culture, pro-capitalist kind of like they, but I'm curious, because if you go, you know, doing the escaping Gary Vee,
there's like niggas I don't fight. There's niggas I'm gonna fight you about, and there's niggas like, all right, man, if you want to do that over there, that's cool. That's Gary Vee. Like, what happens with a lot of these dudes is they'll have their fan bases is what weaponizes the problem the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even like Gary Vee specifically. It's people that are like in your comments, like, right, you're not hustling hard enough. That's why you're never gonna be nothing, etc. And so, but the thing that caught me with her on the Breakfast Club is that she tried to cover up what was really just a private preferences take with black excellence. Yeah. And like that really, like, I've already been on an anti-black excellence concept, especially when you use it like that. Because what she basically said from my perspective was, it's not that he doesn't make a lot of money.
That's my thoughts.
Right.
But sorry.
It's basically like, it basically said it's not that She basically said it's not that he doesn't make a lot of money, is that he's not ambitious enough.
Right.
And it's like, what does that even
It was
mean?
this whole
Right,
mediocrity and like you're average and your parents told you that C's and D's are okay. And it's like, man, first of all, and I got into an argument about this the other day because somebody was saying that you know, if you're broke, you know, why are you even dating, or why are what we in bed together both broke? And I'm like, we do not live in a system where everybody who is broke becomes rich. That's not what happens. There is a class of people, a large chunk of the population that stays middle class and stays poor. Working class people are not going anywhere. We're not going to all hustle our way into. So this idea of that, like, this ambition is like, what do you mean? It's the same rhetoric that's used against like minimum wage, where you need to get a better job. Well, then who's supposed to do that job? Right. And how are they meant to get through life? What's going on? So
we should just underpay this thing that we all agree we need.
Exactly.
Josh,
and whoever does that job should just be fucked.
Yeah. Josh, I feel like I cut you off earlier.
I was basically going to say, like, when it came to broke people calling other broke people calling other people broke, was a lot of people like just have extremely poor financial literacy and like are like neck deep in debt. So like on the surface, it seems like you're balling out, like it seems like you got all this money, but like really it's just debt. And a person that's like, you could not have a lot of disposable income but have no debt. Your credit score is phenomenal, or like you might be able to afford like one trip a year or 2 years or whatever, but somebody will still call you broke because you're not living up to this lifestyle.
You got bottle service every weekend,
right? Exactly. Like you're not in the like but so yeah, that was my thing with that. And most people have a lot of debt, like, and necessarily we don't have the tools, like, even to really have like a real conversation about Black excellence in finance. Right. Like you got to earn your leisure and stuff like that, but it's not like realistic because it's not even being taught like in schools. Like, and that's fucked up as country. It's on purpose. But yeah.
Even if it was taught in schools, like, so there's the thing. It's funny because like this is a big part of the reason why I reacted negatively to it. Again, is because this is also a big part of my video. Is I'm talking about Jay-Z, and like this whole concept of like measuring Black folks' humanity by their wealth and by their ability to hustle and their desire to like be Black excellence, and how that ends up. Sometimes I think it's completely purposeful. Like I don't think I think the earn your leisure dudes, right, and Ebony in this case, like know that what they're doing is classist, but they also know you can get away with it with Black people. Like I think there's like a traumatically informed aversion to poor among Black folks, right? Like you can always say that about somebody, and that's like fighting words. And you don't ever want nobody to say nothing that about you, which is why, like that's old Kanye lyrics. Like you show our wealth to
all falls down.
All, and that's like, and that wasn't, new knowledge. That was like a reality a lot of people have. Like I'll never forget, like one of the first things I had to unpack was thinking negatively about kids when I was a teacher. Kids would come in with, no school supplies and no calculator, whatever, right? But new Jordans. And like that's the thing, that's the old Bill Cosby line. You're coming in with the Jordans, your kid can't even but then you analyze like what is the capacity, what's the locus of control for that parent, for that child's well-being, and what has that what in
the short term.
In the short term, what is that community engaged in, and what is the school really even offering? Like that kid can come to class in Jordans with no calculator and make it through class okay, get a pencil from a friend or a teacher, and then like have a decent day, or he can come in with the Skippies with the proton packs and get joned all day and develop depression and mental social health anxiety. All fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like because the
that's reality, actually such a good take.
Because the reality situation is the superstructure of the situation is the thing that's fucking us up. You just don't want people in the middle of it saying having head ass takes to make things worse, which brings us back to
you can't even agree with yourself, right? Because like then the peanut gallery comes in going like because, and then a bunch of wild nonsense.
Right. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Black people seem to be very afraid to identify with the nature of our actual circumstances, which is true of a lot of like poor white people struggle to identify with their circumstances. Like the bourgeoisie don't even have to do the work because we're busy hating ourselves for our circumstance that we didn't put ourselves in.